Welcome you to our Auburn Graduate Student Athlete panel sponsored by Auburn U. My name is Jeff Shear and I'll be hosting this panel discussion. I'm a writer for auburntigers.com and we are delighted to be joined by an esteemed panel of graduating student athletes, including Meredith Sylvia from gymnastics, Jules Harris from swimming and diving, Chesney McClellan from volleyball, Jack Owen from baseball, Lexi Hanley from softball, and Jack Rogers from track and field. So student athletes, thank you for joining us. Let's start, and I'll just go with the first student athlete in my view, with Meredith Sylvia. And the first question would be, what have you enjoyed most about being an Auburn student athlete?
Hello. What I've enjoyed the most, a lot of things, but mostly the huge support system we have around us. Everyone is rooting for your success, and I don't think that we'll ever have as many people wanting us to succeed as we do right now in Auburn. And I know that will carry after Auburn, but right now we just have so many resources and people available to us, like coaches, teammates, academic advisors, whatever we need, we can ask for help. And yeah, that's just something I've really enjoyed, being able to have all these resources available to me, no matter what it is.
All right, next up is Jules Harris from swimming and diving. Jules, what's been your favorite part about being an Auburn student athlete?
I would have to say the community around us. Auburn Athletics, like Meredith said, is just really supportive. And it really is a big family here. I think that it's really important to me and all of us, and a huge honor to be able to represent Auburn and the past and the current and the future ahead of us. So I think that's been my favorite part.
Chesney McClellan?
I would say my favorite part, kind of going off what Jules said, is definitely the community that surrounds you as a student athlete. People talk all the time about the Auburn family, but I feel like as a student athlete, that extends even further, whether or not like you're in wellness or you're walking down the street or something like that. You always have, I guess, a friend and a student athlete, or like whether you're in class or something like that. And I think that is so important and definitely something that I'm going to miss like moving forward, because nothing truly beats just like your Auburn family and your fellow student athletes.
Thank you, Chesney. Jack Owen, your favorite part about being an Auburn Tiger?
Like, kind of going off what everyone said, I don't know how you could not answer the community that we're in, because, you know, we go and we have competitions and on the road, and we were in Fayetteville 2 weeks ago and there's a whole stack of Auburn fans sitting down in the corner where they put them, but like they're all out there cheering and like wishing us well and hoping we perform the best, because like Auburn fans and the Auburn community cares about us. So that to me has got to be the best part of being an Auburn athlete.
Thank you, Jack. Lexi Hanley, similar thoughts, different thoughts?
I think for me, being a girl from small town Ohio and coming to the SEC world, I think it's been so awesome to be able to be thrown into this adventure with so many different people. I know my team is super diverse, and I've been able to really expand my horizons. And I think one of my favorite things is learning what the world looks like through other people's viewpoints. And I think that is something that Auburn athletics and Auburn softball has really given to me.
Lexi, I can identify with that as a fellow small town Ohioan. How about you, Jack Rogers, kind of a hometown guy? What has it meant to you to be an Auburn student athlete?
Yeah, I completely agree with everyone else. It really is a family, and it's been really special for me growing up here to just be a part of all this and participate in so many different events and opportunities. So I'd agree, and I'd say probably just the connections I've formed, with people from my team and from other teams, just being able to form connections and be on such cool opportunities and trips with other people.
Thanks, Jack. Taylor St. Jacques, the newest member of our panel, coming to us live from Waco, I think, or on the road to Waco, trying to three-peat as national champions. Taylor, our first question on our graduate student athlete panel is, what have you enjoyed the most about being an Auburn student athlete?
I think what I've enjoyed, everyone can hear me, correct? Okay. What I've enjoyed the most is definitely the support around Auburn, and, from the school, from all the staff members, from all the students. The support here is really something really special and something I've never had in my life, being a competitor in an individual sport and now coming onto a team sport, the support goes beyond the team and Auburn University. It goes to the community. And I think that's been the most bittersweet thing. Makes me feel like I'm a part of something really big and really special and really important. And I think that's really been the best part of being a student athlete is the outrageous amount of support that we receive.
Sure. Thank you, Taylor. And student athletes, see how easy this is? That's our first question. We'll go back to the top with Meredith, Sylvia. And I'm going to ask you if you could go back in time to your first day you arrived at Auburn, moving day, when you moved in and your parents helped you drop you off here. What would you tell your freshman self? I guess, what are some big things you've learned now that you would want 18-year-old you to know?
A million things, but just you learn so much at Auburn. So some things that come to the top of my mind are just enjoy the little things, enjoy even the boring days, even the busy days where it seems like you're just going throughout your routine. Enjoy the wins, but also the days in between the big wins. Embrace all the challenges thrown at you because there's going to be a lot, but you're going to grow from them. Really just lean into the experience. Even if it's a bad day, a good day, just really try to take something from each and every day and use the resources provided to you because there are a lot. And I wish I could go back and tell myself to use some more things freshman and sophomore year that I didn't even realize that I needed. And don't be afraid to ask for help because there's a lot of people that want to help you.
Thank you, Meredith. Excellent takeaways. Jules Harris, same question for you. If you could go back in time to your first day on the plains, what would 22-year-old or graduating Jules tell freshman Jules?
I would tell her probably to enjoy the little things like Meredith said, and, never take any moment for granted. I think we all learned that with COVID last year and being sent home and not really having that second semester, and a lot of seasons being cut short, and just embracing every competition, every challenge, every person you meet, because it all goes by a lot faster than you'd think. I remember freshman year thinking this is going to be a long 4 years, and I was actually at the softball game yesterday. I was doing some internship stuff with marketing, and I was looking out and watching all of them have fun, with their uniforms on. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss this so much more than I thought. So yeah, just really take it all in and get to know everyone on your team, whether they're older, younger, incoming people, because that's going to be your family forever, no matter what. You're always going to have ties to Auburn.
I heard it said once, going off what you were saying, that the days are long, but the years are very short, right?
Absolutely.
Chesney McClellan, what would you go back and tell your freshman self?
I would definitely say take advantage of all the resources around you. Like when you're a freshman coming in and you have the Connect meetings and the SAC meetings and this meeting and that meeting, you're like, oh, another meeting. But when you get to be a senior, you're like, oh, wow, that stuff was actually really helpful that they were preaching to us. And so I would definitely say pay attention in those things and just realize that everyone is there to help you. It's very rare that every person in compliance, our athletic director, your senior administrator, knows you by name. And I can say that a bunch of the senior administrators and higher ups in compliance and athletics, know me personally or know my family and stuff like that. And I definitely took advantage of that my sophomore and junior year. And I would just say to see your resources and just take all of it that you can, because you're not going to have 20 people rooting you on every single day when you get out to the real world.
Thank you, Chesney. Hey, I'm looking at our panel and I had it on the gallery view and I just realized we have 5 queens and a pair of jacks. That's a winning hand, right? All right, Jack Owen, if you could go back and talk to your freshman self, what would you tell yourself? What have you learned?
I don't mean to piggyback off of everybody else, but like Chesney just said, using your resources, your coaches and your older players on the team, your athletic department, your counseling department, your tutors, your advisors, all these people are their job is to help you. And sometimes it can be intimidating when you first get to school and maybe you're not sure, you're shy. If you just reach out and kind of get to know these people, it can make your experience so much easier from the get-go instead of try to do it by yourself and making it harder on yourself. So I would have told myself to, really do that sooner than I did, because once I started to utilize all the tools I had, it became a lot easier.
I heard Bruce Pearl once say that you can't hunt bear it from the lodge. You got to get out there and put yourself out there. And 18-year-old Jeff here, even though that was a long time ago, I didn't have that skill to go up and shake somebody's hand and say, "Hey, I'm Jeff." But that's one thing I would go back and tell myself, that put yourself out there and get to know people. And if you are kind of reserved and shy, the sooner you can get over that, the better off you're going to be. How about you, Lexi?
I think one thing that I wish I would have known at 18 was to not take things so seriously. I think being an athlete, we're so programmed to be the best, to conquer everything, to work through all the adversity. But I think as a human, you have to step back and you have to be able to let yourself fail and let yourself grow and let yourself change, let your perspectives change. You don't have to believe the same things at 22, 23 that you did at 18. And I think the sooner that you can realize that, like, these are some of the most transformative years around the most transformative people and your support system, we say that all the time, the Auburn family, like, the change that you'll go through, the person that you become is so different, and it's so worthwhile, I think, to take those risks and to sit back and kind of let your environment change who you are. I think that's something I wish I would have known at 18.
Thank you, Lexi. Jack Rogers?
Yeah, I like what Lexi and Meredith said, just about just being able to enjoy the journey, not take it too seriously. There's a lot of times there's stress and some nerves with competitions, but looking back, that's some of the most fun times, some of those fun trips and learning experiences. So just being able to enjoy those, and also, like you said, putting yourself out there, like connections you make with getting to know people on your team and other student athletes will be ones that you can make great friends from, and those are valuable connections.
All right, Taylor St. Jock, you're batting cleanup here for us, to use a baseball term. What would you go back and tell yourself? What have you learned? What do you know now that you didn't know then?
I would definitely tell myself to live in the moment, take advantage of every second that you're here. I know my freshman and sophomore year, I was kind of just, going through the motions, trying to figure out how to make the days end as quickly as possible and get to summer and have some time to breathe. But, junior and especially senior year, I wish I would have lived in the moment. I would have taken advantage of every second I had at Auburn and every second in the classroom, every second in practice, every second in workouts. I wish I would have taken advantage of the sources I have around me a little bit more. It's definitely an experience unlike any other and a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I do wish I would have, lived in the moment and taken advantage of everything a little bit more.
Excellent. Thank all of you for your candor there and the perspectives that you've gained over the past 4 years or more or less on the Plains. All right, so this senior year, it's had a different feel. You alluded to several of you with COVID, also issues of social justice stemming from last summer with what we saw happen with George Floyd in Minnesota. So what challenges personally have you had and what have you learned about yourself over the past 12 months? And we'll go back to Meredith.
Yeah, it's been a crazy year. I think so for a gymnastics season, we got cut short from our season right before postseason. So it kind of forced us to take a step back, and we didn't train for about 7 months, and that's kind of unheard of for our sport. I know a lot of sports are like that too, but I don't think any of us have taken that much time off of training. So it really taught me that it's a privilege to be a college athlete. It's not a given. It's taught me to enjoy every practice that I had after that. When you're in the middle of season and morning workouts and long days, it's really easy to get overwhelmed and want to break from it all. But after we got that COVID break, about 2 or 3 weeks into the break, you're like, okay, I'm ready to go back now. And then we didn't get that opportunity until a few months, so actually 7 months later. So it's just really taught me to enjoy the days where you really have to grind and really sweaty workouts and enjoy those days too, and not just the big wins, but the days in between those wins.
Jules, how about you? Any challenges or things that you've learned especially as it relates to the past 12, 13 months?
I think that this year, especially, I learned that my teammates are way more of my family and like my brothers and sisters and my teammates. The way that we all kind of came together for each other over quarantine. And then just this year, you never know when our seasons could be cut. We never knew when someone was going to test positive and we couldn't go to a meet, or if our season was just going to end completely and they decided not to have SECs or NCAAs. So I think we all learned that there are definitely people that have way harder lives than us and have a tougher time. And like Meredith said, like we have to be so thankful that we're student athletes and we get this opportunity to do things that other people really wish that they could do. I mean, we get free meals and people pay for our travel and, like everything that we think is just no big deal. We kind of embrace that a lot more this year. And just like I said, going back to being there for each other when times got really tough. Like I'm the only Black person on my team in general. And like I had a lot of people reach out to me and like people that I didn't really think like knew a lot about it or like didn't really care that much. It meant a lot to me to see different people on my team look at things from a different perspective. So I think this year, my motto and like what I told myself every day was that no matter how tough the practice was, like I'm not doing it for myself. I'm doing it for my team. I'm doing it for Auburn. And I'm doing it for everyone that wants to be in my position one day. So yeah, just not ever really taking anything for granted and appreciating every little thing and every opportunity that we had and every relationship that we had on the team with each other.
Thank you, Jules. Appreciate that perspective. Chesney, how about you? Lessons learned, challenges over the past year?
I would say a huge lesson learned kind of going back is just the support that we really have. There's a difference between like your head coach pushing you in the weight room and pushing you in the gym and just kind of supporting you that way, but it's different in the midst of social injustice and unrest when he like personally addresses you and is looking you in the eye and saying, I support you and I love you and this is what makes you special. And I've never had a coach say that to me. And so I would say that is something positive that came from just this past year, and realizing that being a Black student athlete is what makes me special and what sets me apart. Like, yeah, we're all great at our sports, but there's something that sets each of us apart. And there's something about each of us that has that little girl or that little boy in the stands like rooting for you. And this past year has definitely made me realize that I'm not, like Joel said, I'm not doing this for me all the time. Like I'm doing it for that younger person who wishes they could be in my position, or that coach who says, I probably wouldn't have a job if it weren't for Black student athletes. And so that was something special that kind of came out of this. And so something I was really thankful for in all the negativity of this past year.
Thank you, Chesney. Appreciate that. Jack Owen, how about you? What lessons, challenges from the past year?
Yeah, some like we were getting ready to play our opening weekend of SEC ball, and Texas A&M didn't end up getting on the plane. And over the next 2 weeks or so, we kind of stayed and worked out at the local park, I think Duck Sanford, and we were just playing catch, getting ready to try and hopefully start the season back up, and it never did. And when we all had to go home, it was kind of there were a lot of guys that were on the team that never got their last chance to play their season, like their career were ended right there. And so when we came back, it was kind of like they didn't get the opportunity to finish the way they wanted to, so we better make the most of it, because again, you don't really know what's going to happen in your life, and I don't think anyone expected that to happen, but it did. And so for us, it was kind of a not taking anything for granted. And then on the other topic, I think it's important to learn to be able to have open discussions, open dialogues, and see things from other people's perspectives, because sometimes we get so, this is my life and this is the way it's been, and you don't understand what other people are going through and what challenges other people are facing, and you never think about it. So I think it's really important to have those discussions and learn a little bit about something other than just what you're worried about and your life goals, I guess.
Excellent. Yeah, critical conversations, we call those, right? Thanks, Jack. Lexi, how about you?
I think that one moment that is like forever ingrained in my head, and I might start crying, so I apologize. It was a Sunday. We had a team meeting. We had been on the road for like over a week. We went to Florida, we went to Gainesville, and we went to Jacksonville. And we got home on the bus, and that was when, we got the news the NBA had shut down, and our postseason was canceled, and things, we were going to have like a 2-week break, like Jack said, and then eventually everything happened, I think, so fast. And, at the end of the day, it was, hey, we're going home. And like, we don't know when we're coming back. We don't know if it'll be in the fall or not. We were sitting in the team room, and I'll never forget this. I was sitting on the edge of the couch, and Rachel Cook was next to me. And Monique had come in. And, when the administrators come in, like, it's a big deal. They have other things they need to be worried about. So it was the coaching staff and Monique. And in that moment, everyone was sobbing. We had no clue what was going on. And when she said, you guys are done, it was like when you hear it from the administration, it's real. And it was like this moment where, they say sports are the great equalizer. And in that moment, like it was, you had walk-ons, you had full ride players, you had starters, you had freshmen who had that overcoming emotion of like, man, it didn't matter how much I played or how much I didn't play, or, how much I'm paying or how much I'm not paying. Like, at the end of the day, like, I wanted nothing more than to have this. And so when it was ripped out of all of our hands and we felt that like overcoming emotion, I really just think that in my heart, like, I understood how much sport means to me, but how much it also means to the 26 girls who surround me. And I think that even though it was so tragic and it was so awful, and one of my best friends, Ashley Swindle, didn't get to finish her season the way that she wanted to, but it was that moment where you have to realize that this is so, so, so much a blessing that can be ripped away so quickly. And on the other end, we get to play sport through a pandemic. We have nurses who are working 24-hour shifts. We have people who have lost their lives, and we still get the absolute privilege of putting on the Auburn jersey every single day. So I'm super thankful for that. And then to touch on the issue of social justice, I think I have learned in the past 12 months that my passions are to make sure that those voices that aren't heard have a voice through me. And I haven't been quiet about those issues. And, I've had open dialogue with my Black teammates, my white teammates. And, I do think that our generation has so much power. And I think that that's something that we need to use our platform now and forever. We all have the ability to communicate, to speak, to work hard on things that we're passionate about. And I really think that we have the responsibility to make things better.
Excellent. Thank you, Lexi. Appreciate that. All right, we'll call you Track Jack. Jack Rogers. What are the challenges, the lessons learned from this past year?
I think the top lesson I learned was really just to get out of my comfort zone. Whether that's, like I was saying, getting to know someone that you may not have, you think you have a lot in common with, or even, using your platform to really speak up and make change about things that you're passionate about. So I'll use Miss Janice as an example. During all the different, just all the chaos this summer that was happening, and racial tensions and unrest, I kind of was, Miss Robinson was able to really encourage me to get out of my comfort zone and start working on designing a t-shirt to really cover that, what happened this summer, and Auburn was committed to making change and recognizing what was going on. So that was something I'd never done before, but it was a really great learning experience and allowed me to see a lot of different perspectives. And so that was something that was one of my favorite things to be a part of while I was here, getting out of my comfort zone doing that.
Thank you. And the shirt that Jack designed was part of the Together We Will Auburn Unity Unite as One movement, that the initiative that Auburn Athletics and you all have been a part of, kind of wearing on your uniforms and in your gear and your clothes, and also in the way that you live your lives. Taylor, it looks like the bus has stopped moving, so you're still on it, so we're glad you're still with us. What have been the challenges, the lessons specifically related to the challenges of this past year that you've learned?
I've gone through a lot of challenges this year. It all started when the pandemic hit and our season got canceled. It was right before we were supposed to come back for postseason and SECs and nationals. And, those are moments and times that, I think everyone takes for granted. Our team, we were ready to win. We were ready to come back with 2 more rings and 2 more trophies. And all of a sudden it was just, you guys are done. Like that's not happening anymore. And it was like, oh, haha, like we get to stay and have a long spring break. And then we were like, wait, no, like we're actually not going back. We don't get to finish this year. We've put in so much work for this moment, and that just all got stripped away. And that was a really big eye opener, I think, for me. And I think a lot of people as well of, like I think someone else said, like, it's such a privilege to be at Auburn and be an Auburn athlete. And, no matter what everyone went through, I think our team really came together more than ever. And you had your teammates to rely on, your teammates to turn to if you were going through something hard or going through something tough during this pandemic. And, I learned that not just my teammates, but the whole Auburn staff and support system, their family. Whenever I needed something or anything like that, I had someone to turn to, I had someone to talk to, I had someone to comfort me. And, you learn a lot about everyone. And I think it brought everyone together a lot more than anything else. And I think secretly this pandemic has been a little bit of a blessing. Everyone kind of took a step back and realized how grateful they are for everything and how important it is to really soak in every moment of everything you're blessed with.
Thank you, Taylor. Student athletes appreciate that. So we've looked back a good bit. Now I want to take a minute to look ahead and ask each of you, what are your plans after Auburn and after sport? And we'll go back up to Meredith. I think you're heading over to the University of Georgia, where I know you're going to be wearing orange and blue amid that red and black. And what are your plans after you leave the Plains?
Yeah, I'm starting at UGA in the fall, but still War Eagle. And I'm going to get my master's degree in teaching. And then with that, I plan to use my undergraduate degree in biology and then my master's degree in teaching to teach middle school science.
I've read that the other day, and I thought that was fascinating. In middle school, I think there's an extra special place in heaven for middle school teachers, having taught 8th grade Sunday school for a few years. So what about that age? What makes you want to connect with that group?
I think it's like a pivotal point in everyone's life. And I think everyone kind of remembers their middle school years. And I think it's just an interesting time period. And I know I struggled in middle school a little bit. Although I was homeschooled for gymnastics, it was still definitely a time in my life I'll always remember. So I'm up for the challenge that everyone says I'm going to have with middle schoolers, but it excites me. And I'm really excited to just be part of kids' lives in that time.
That's great. Well, we need people in the trenches, as we all went through those years. Jules Harris, how about you? What's next after sport and after Auburn?
So I actually used to hate this question so much, and I used to avoid this question, but I think the pandemic actually made me think about, like, oh my gosh, like there's a life outside of swimming and sports, and I'm gonna have to start thinking about that soon. So I'm gonna move home for the summer, and that's Tuscaloosa for me. And just kind of take a break and just breathe, because I've been swimming for 15 years. I don't know a summer or just a time in my life where I haven't been doing it. So I'm actually going to be training for Olympic trials when I go home after graduation, and then I'll do that in June, and then just kind of take the rest of the summer to chill. And then I'm looking at jobs to work events down on 30A at the beach. That's another thing that I kind of learned from the pandemic, is that if you want to do something, just do it, because you never know when you won't be able to. So my dream has always been to work in Nashville, but I also love the beach. So I'm excited to get down there for a little bit and start my career.
All right. Well, I like that we're going to have 2 Auburn women in our biggest rivals, kind of repping the orange and blue, one in Athens and one in Tuscaloosa. Chesney, what's next for you after your Auburn days are over?
Yeah, so I'm moving to Nashville in May, and I'm going to start at Belmont in the fall. I'm getting my master's in sports management, and ultimately right now it's my goal to be the community service director for NFL team. And going into college, that is not what I wanted to do at all. I thought I wanted to go in medicine, but just through my work in SAC and having Miss Janice, like Jack said, just kind of push me and point me in the direction of where she wanted SAC to go, I realized that community service really is my passion and something that I really feel strongly about, especially within athletics. So hopefully I'll get an internship or something like that for an NFL team. But right now it's just grad school.
Excellent. Well, congratulations to all of you. Jack, I know you've got a Major League Baseball draft coming up in a couple months and hoping to hear your name called. So I'll ask you a two-parter, your career within sport, and then once you've thrown your last slider and struck out somebody and moved on from baseball, what's next for you after that?
Yeah, everyone's career comes to an end at some point. Nobody plays forever, but for me, the biggest thing, like Tim Hudson, sorry, Huddy is what we call him. He's been super awesome with us, and he doesn't have to coach, he doesn't have to help. He could go and fish every day and probably be okay for the rest of his life. But that's something that I'm passionate about. Is when I was growing up, I had someone there for me all the way through my playing days, and then once I got here as a freshman, there were a lot of older guys who really tried to help me become a better version of myself. And Coach Hudson, Coach Thompson, everybody always, doing everything they can to make me a better player and a better person. So hopefully whenever I've thrown my last pitch, I can get back into coaching and start doing the same thing that all these people have had such a huge impact on my life. And I want to be an impact for others as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, Tim Hudson is the Auburn pitching coach, a former great player here, a veteran major leaguer and winner of 222 big league games. Lexi Hanley, how about you? What are your plans after softball?
Yeah, so similar actually to Jack's story. I want to get my master's degree at some point. I don't know what I don't know, something sports management, business management. But I do aspire to coach college softball one day. I've seen so many good things and bad things about college softball and college sports in general, and women's sports especially, that I just feel like it's become my passion. I actually came into college as a pre-med major and had every aspiration of going to medical school. And similar to Chesney, I just realized that wasn't something that was going to fill me up forever. So after I'm done pitching and I'm ready to hang up the cleats, I do think I want to kind of see the game from the other perspective outside the lines a little bit. And ultimately, I think I would love to work in administration in college athletics. So not really sure where that looks like or what it looks like, if that's on the NCAA level or at a university level, but I definitely can't imagine not being around this game forever.
For sure. Jack Rogers, what are your plans after your last college track meet and your last class at Auburn?
I'll be starting full-time as a business analyst this summer. So I'm excited about that. And I'm considering, going back at some point and getting a master's degree in either analytics or data science. But for the next couple of years, I'm excited to be staying in the Auburn area and working.
And Taylor, you would have professional opportunities in your sport of equestrian. Is that something that you intend to pursue? And then once that is done, what do you want to do when you grow up, as they say?
My whole life, I was like, I'm going to do the horses full time. I'm going to do the horses full time. That's all I've known. I know I'm good at it. I enjoy it. And then when I came to school last year was really when I was like, wow, like I actually like being around non-horse people and having a bit of a social life. And I think recently I've kind of decided that the full-time professional is not for me. I still want to make my run for the Olympics. I have belief in myself and I have plenty of support around me that believe in me as well. And nobody thinks that it's an unrealistic goal. So I am intending to make my run for the Olympics. And after that, I want to get my master's. So I think I want to stay. I might end up staying here. We are blessed to have another year of eligibility. And I think that was kind of a blessing in disguise for me because I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do with my life. So I think I'm going to come back here next year and take advantage of being able to still be on this team and be at Auburn and get my master's. And I think I'm going to get my MBA. So after that, the plan is run for the Olympics. And then I've discovered that I love coaching. with the horses and training. And I would love to be able to somehow get a coaching spot either here at Auburn or at another school. I would love to stay here and coach. I think Coach Braswell and Coach Williams have what they've done to me and the way they've made me a better person. I came in and I was a little, I wanted to, all I was focused on is I want to break records at Auburn. That was my goal. And, as I came here and they're like, listen, like it's a team first culture here. And once I really bought into that, I realized, wow, like this really isn't about me. This is for everyone around me and everyone to come after me. And they've really changed me as a person. If you knew me freshman year, you would not think I was the same person as I am senior year. And I would love to be able to help other people do that and do that with others as well. So I think I want to do some sort of coaching job eventually.
Excellent. That's a theme from several of you that I heard there. A lot of you people poured into you and now you want to pay it forward. And I think that's fantastic. As we close it out, we'll go around the horn one last time with our last question, which would be, what will you take away from your experience as an Auburn student athlete that you think will empower you or you believe will empower you to succeed in all these endeavors that you just talked about? So what's a lesson from sport or from your time at Auburn that's going to, I guess, fuel you as you go forward? Meredith?
One of the reasons I chose Auburn was because they told me that we really develop athletes for life after sport too, and the athlete as a whole person. And it's true. There's so many lessons I could take away from it. And I'm really glad that I chose Auburn for that reason. One of the lessons I think of is controlling the controllables, being part of a team and a family. You learn how to communicate and navigate those relationships, and just lessons like those will definitely transfer into the workplace and to other parts of my life that will go way and beyond just my time here at Auburn. I'm really excited to implement those lessons and see what's out there.
Sure. Thank you, Meredith. Jules Harris, something that you'll take away from Auburn that will empower you as you go forth.
Kind of bouncing off what Taylor just said, Auburn is really about, putting the team first. And I think I've learned that a lot over the past 4 years, and discipline and time management for sure. I will never complain about how early I have to get up after jumping in a pool at 5:30 in the morning. So just being ready to face a challenge at all times, being ready to work with a team of people rather than just myself, and not so much being competitive with the people around me, but helping like my team and my group of people be competitive with, say, like another company or like another team, something like that. So yeah, and just embracing everything, and then being very thankful for the opportunities that I'm given.
Well said. Thank you. Chesney, a takeaway that is going to help guide you.
One takeaway I would say that Auburn has taught me is really just how to be a leader. One thing that I've learned while I'm here is that you're never too old or too young to start. I came here as a sophomore and I was transferred here, and I just thought like, I'm just going to go here and get my degree and just kind of like be under the radar. Like I hate being the center of attention and, all that. But I found immense pride and support in taking initiative and taking lead over projects or in schoolwork or anything like that. And when you put yourself in those positions to have people look at you or to be a role model for someone younger than you, I think it's something that I will hold with me forever. And being an Auburn Tiger is something that no one can ever take away from me. And that has also given me such huge confidence that I would have never had if I wouldn't have taken that first step or, spoke up when no one else was and things like that. So I think that is definitely something that I will hold with me forever.
Thanks, Chesney. Baseball Jack, a takeaway from your time here at Auburn that will power you going forward.
I actually have two takeaways that I want to share. The first one comes from the school side of things. I don't know if any of y'all had Dr. Curley as a biology professor, maybe your freshman year, but Dr. Curley, and I don't even know if he remembers me, but Dr. Curley spent hours on hours after class with me in his office trying to help me understand what was going on. And Dr. Curley probably had 500 students every semester, and he knew my name. I came in and he offered me help. He took time out of his day, out of his busy life, to help me be a better student in a course that may not end up making a huge difference in my life, whether I know how organisms work and whatnot, but he really didn't have to, and he did. And that's something going forward where, I think I may not have to help someone, I may not want to help someone, but taking that time out of the day for me made all the difference in the world. And whether he knows that or not, like, I really appreciate the lesson that he taught me there. And the other thing is Coach Thompson always, like, of everything that Coach Thompson told me, there's one thing that I'll always never forget is, if you don't do it, somebody else has to. So trash on the ground, there's, a bucket of baseballs that's left out. Like, it's not necessarily my job, but if I don't take care of it, somebody else has to. And, that can be applied to so many different areas of your life where, you may not want to do something, or you may not think it's your duty, but you can make someone else's day easier. You can make someone else's life easier by helping out where it's not necessarily your concern. So those are the two biggest takeaways that I've had.
Excellent takeaways there, Jack. Thank you. All right, Lexi, you're up next. What's something that you'll leave Auburn with that's going to help you going forward?
I think that list is way too long for one person to answer, but similar to Chesney, actually, I transferred here my sophomore year, and a lot of people don't know this, but I was broken. I hated softball. I hated college sport. It was something I was ready to hang my cleats up and be done and wash my hands clean of ever thinking about softball, pitching a softball, anything in that realm. And, I think just the accumulation of the sports psychologists I've worked with, the coaches, the, athletic director communications that I've had, the athletic trainers, so many people pouring into me and pouring their goodness into me has made me never want to leave the game. And I mean, that's like a 180-degree change. And so for me, I've just been so transformed by the people here. And I know that the overarching theme of my years here was a revival. And that's something that, I never want anyone to hate the sport because of the way that I treat them. But, if someone does have that kind of interaction with someone where they can't imagine, waking up at 5 a.m. and finding joy in that, I want to take that responsibility and make them feel like they are worthy, they are loved, and that, their dedication won't go unknown. So I think for me, it's just a passion to make sure that my future athletes, the girls that I coach and the people that I'll continue to build relationships with, they know that this is worth it, and that, their experiences might not always be great, but it's all a part of a story that they are writing so beautifully. So I think that's something that I'm super grateful for.
Well said. Thank you, Lexi. Jack, how about you on those long, quiet morning runs, or any other time while you were an Auburn student athlete? What's something that's going to go with you?
I would echo what Chesney said, just about growing as a leader with so many people behind me, kind of pushing me out of my comfort zone and to do just be a part of so many unique opportunities that otherwise I wouldn't have been a part of. So definitely growth as a leader, and just experiencing, I guess, the power of support and encouragement within my team, and just learning how being selfless and encouraging others can really bring the whole community together and just pays dividends.
Excellent. And Taylor, we will give you the last word from Texas.
I think that one of my biggest takeaways is the leadership I've gained here. Coming in and with my sport being so individualized, I always worked for me and what was best for me and my partner, which was whatever horse I had. And then coming here, my leadership role went from do what's best for me to do what's best for the 39 other girls. And I think being able to grow like that as a leader is something exceptional. The leadership role, not, doing something and having it in the back of my mind, well, this is going to affect every other girl on my team, not just myself. So the leadership, and also my time management, my communication. Like I said, I'm not working for me anymore. I'm working for everyone else around me. and really just all the skills that come with that, the communication, the leadership, the time management. I mean, you name it. There's so many key skills I've picked up from being a student athlete and being at Auburn that I will take with me forever. And not everyone can say they've had the opportunity to gain through an experience like this.
Excellent. Thank you, student athletes. I know 3 of you, I think, have already completed your careers, but 4 of you are still have a few more competitions left. So we'll be cheering for you and pulling for you. All of you have made Auburn better. Auburn's better because you came our way, and we'll continue to be pulling for you and supporting you as you do go out and do great things. And you'll always have a home here on the Plains. So we hope you will come back and visit often. Congratulations to the class of 2021. And thank you for attending our graduate student athlete panel sponsored by Auburn U. And War Eagle to everybody. Thanks so much.